Okay, now I've removed this directory that we're not going to use, and let's go on and arrange our data. Now, as it says here, when training a neural network and making sure it works, typically you use 3 sets: training set, validation set, and test set. Training set is like your homework. That's what you give the neural network to make it respond better and better. After you've run all of your training data through the network, then you do validation. And that confirms that the network has learned something. And you do this for several cycles. You train and then validate. So this is like the exercise, and this is like the examination or the quiz. And then this is the final exam. That tells you, does the neural network perform? This testing data must be kept separate, completely separate from this data here, because you want an independent evaluation. So here it says IMDb has already been split into training and testing, but there's no validation set. So here we have some parameters that are going to be used in the model. Batch size, I won't talk about that now. Seed is how you initialize the random number generator. You may know that in computers, there's no such thing as a really random number, but you generate numbers that seem random given a starting point. And the reason why you put a seed there is that if you want to reproduce exactly the same results for your computer simulation, you set one seed and it always gives you the same set of random numbers. If you don't specify a seed, then the computer will choose a different random seed each time. So, all right, so here we have raw train DS. And there's this utility pre-processing text data set from directory that prepares your data for use in the neural network. So here's my data. Here it sets the batch size, so it's basically dividing this data up into batches of size 32. Validation split equals 0.2. That means 20% of this training data is used for validation. And I'm not sure what subset equals training means. Here is where this variable seed is assigned to the parameter seed in this raw train DS. So it's important to note that this raw train DS is not just a set, but it's a set with various attributes. And these are the attributes. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. All right. So here we can see 2,000 files for training. All right. That's 80% are used for training. The rest will be for validation. All right, let's go down and see what this one does. All right. So, all right, and then we execute this command. If we take text and labels, I'm actually not sure why you do this parenthesis 1 here. This is kind of fancy stuff, but here it looks like you're just taking some stuff. So label 0, label 0, label 1. Label 0 means it's bad, and label 1 means it's good. It's good. So we have 0 and 1 labels here. All right. Now let's go down and see what's next. Okay. Let's see. The reviews contain raw text with punctuation and some HTML text. So I guess I can scroll across and see the rest of the review. Okay. All right. All right. So let's see. We can see which one is. They have names here. 0 is negative, 1 is positive. Okay. So we let's see. So we already have our training data set. We want to create validation and test. We have 5,000 for validation because we started out with 25,000 and used 20,000 for training. And then the rest will be for testing. Okay, so here it says, when using validation split and subset, make sure to specify a random seed or to pass shuffle equal false, so the validation and training splits have no overlap. Okay, so here we have our commands here. So you can notice that this command is very similar for the command for creating the training set, except instead of taking the subset equals training, we do subset equals validation. Use the same seed, same batch size, so that means you're taking the other set, apart from the 20,000 that we took already, you're taking the remaining 5,000. All right, so this, well, again, this was from the training set. Now this one, to get the testing, we're going to get that from the testing set. All right, and we're not splitting testing into validation and training, so we don't have to do anything more. Okay, so let's go down. So remember that I told you that in order to process text, we need to vectorize the words. But before vectorizing the words, we need to do some preparation of the data. For instance, if you saw when we looked at some of these reviews here, they had some HTML tags. And we also don't need the punctuation. Let's see if there's an HTML tag here somewhere. I'm sure I saw one somewhere. Here we go. Okay. So we want to remove that, and we want just the words left. Probably want to get rid of upper and lowercase too. We'll see if they do that. So I guess they have three operations: standardize, tokenize, and vectorize. So standardize, remove punctuation in HTML. Tokenize means splitting the strings into tokens. So here they're splitting it into words, and vectorize means changing these words into vectors, which I explained previously. And here you want to use this regular expression, which is not just used in Keras, but it's used throughout computation when you want to do sophisticated operations on text. You use regular expressions. It can search for fractions of your text. It can search for very sophisticated patterns. So we'll see how that works down here. Now, because text vectorization is an operation that's often used, it seems that there's a standard, or there's a default standardizer that will take the punctuation out and convert to lowercase. But it doesn't know how to recognize these HTML tags with the less than, greater than, and so on. So so what you want to do is write a routine that takes care of these, and it's a custom routine that's especially for this data. All right, so here he's basically saying that you want to treat your training and testing set the same way. Make sure it's really as identical as possible. It has the same characteristics. All right, so let's go down and see what this says. All right, so here we're defining a function, and this function is going to be applied to data. All right, so lowercase means you change everything in the input data set to lower. Now this one here, you can see that we're using regular expressions. And what it's going to do is it's going to take this text, and it's going to take any tag that looks like this and replace it with a white space. And then this one, it looks like it's going to remove the punctuation. So once I've executed this, I can create a text vectorization layer, which will be part of my neural network. And as I said before, you need to change your words into vectors. And here you're going to set it as part of your neural network. And I guess you're going to make sure to do this both for training and testing. Now I don't understand all these parameters, but let's just go ahead and execute. Sometimes these functions for preparing data are very detailed. This is all just stuff to prepare your data and prepare your neural network for receiving your data. All right, so here it looks like this is the operation that's used to vectorize the text. And here we're just doing a sample to see what it actually does for some reviews. All right, so what does it do? I'm not sure what all this is, except it looks like this vector here represents the review. Now there are a lot of zeros here. That's because they standardized the size to be 250, and I guess the review is actually shorter than that. All right, let's see what this one does. Okay, so here you're just converting the numbers to words. So, so they've indexed the vocabulary, and they've numbered the words. All right, so we can go back and see now that this parameter here, 10,000, is they choose a maximum of 10,000 words. Remember up here they have max features. Okay, so they won't allow more than 10,000 words. They probably take the 10,000 most frequent ones. All right, so here it says now you're ready to train your model. Here it says, so we do the text vectorization. So this is actually where you change the words themselves into vectors. Whenever this happens, go back up and see if you executed all the cells. It looks like I missed a couple up here. Let's go ahead and find it. Here we go. We'll do those two. Hopefully this will work. Okay, that's good. And then we do this one. All right, let's go down and do this. So when you do the exercise, there may be a lot of steps that you don't quite understand. The way you learn to understand is by doing. So we just go through. These are all kind of technical details for massaging your data to make sure everything is fine. So let's just pass by these.